What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR and Bitcoin today. So we haven't really had too much movement, low volume on MSTR the past week. We had a little move to the upside and we got rejected off the golden zone that we've already spoken about multiple times. But for any new viewers or subscribers, you can see this is a bearish pull to the downside. So as we were down here, we were saying we're going to have to worry about this zone, because once you reach it, it's going to be a key level of resistance, which it has been. And when you see a zone like that in a bearish direction, this is the idea. This does not have to play out at all. I'm saying this is the tendency that it likes to, go in. It's still bearish. So we have a large bearish area, and then on a smaller time zone or time frame, we have a bullish fib pull, and this one's to the upside. So we almost got a test of the 382. I guess if I tighten it up a little bit more, maybe it'll make more sense. I can bring it down here, but I usually do it to the tip. But close enough of a touch to the 382. We're kind of just holding that level. We're not going anywhere right now. Bitcoin's had a little bit of a drop, and then it kind of just brought itself right back up. MSTR is at this horizontal level of support, still holding it. Price is really just getting compressed between this golden zone and this key level of support here. And eventually it's going to make a decision. It's not going to be compressed forever. It's either going to be compressed and eventually break down, or it's going to be compressed and eventually, and hopefully, break up, which we've been speaking of. Break above this golden zone and these wicks, get a close, ideally, retest. Then we have to worry about this zone, and then that's going to be our last line in the sand of resistance, really. We do have to break this high over here, but this is the key level that we're going to be looking at, which is that 450 level, and before that is like that 420 to 430 level. Keep speaking about it. A lot of these things take time to play out, so sometimes it gets a little bit repetitive. Here on the daily, though, we're still looking very good. Like I said, it's just sideways chop. There's really not much you can do. Honestly, it's a little retest of this level, and we are starting to, it's on a very, very minor level, but we are starting to make higher lows, I guess, and higher highs. So we had one higher high here. So we're just looking at this little zone right here. Obviously, this is a small amount of data, but you can see we have higher lows starting to form, and we have one higher high right here, starting from this move here. So hopefully this is the bottom and we don't break down, because this could also be some kind of move where it's like the beginning of like an Elliott wave move. So hopefully not, but it could look something like that if we were to get like a 5-count move or something to the downside. Hopefully not. Hopefully this is just starting to create higher highs and higher lows, and we can just continue creeping through this zone and eventually breaking out. But like we all know, these things are subject to change. Anything can happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Here on the SMAs, we're still well above it, but we are inching closer and closer. SMA is starting to push down a little bit more, though. Hopefully this thing can start ramping back up and we can either make contact with it or we can just start running from here. And on the daily, we're still compressed between the 20 and the 50. We haven't really touched either of them since we've fallen underneath it. We came really close, but that golden zone was acting as that level of resistance. So we need to start knocking on this 20 SMA, weakening it, and eventually break through it. The more you touch something, the weaker it gets, and the more likely you are to break it. On a larger scale, global liquidity is still looking good. We're still making fresh highs, at least here on the weekly. We're still looking good, so there's really not much that we can complain about. We're waiting to see higher prices. We don't know when this is going to happen. We don't know where we are exactly in this move. Potentially here, but we could be somewhere in between here. And remember, it doesn't have to follow it to the T all the time. It can deviate. This thing is correlated, 80 to 90% of the time. So this is global liquidity compared to MSTR. And when you actually look at the EMA here, this is the 8 EMA here on the weekly. We're still holding it. We fell underneath it and we've broken above it, and now it looks like we're getting a retest. So let's see what happens. The last time we had a break, a durable break above it, and the next time we touched it, we actually ended up having a severe move to the upside. Not saying that's going to happen, but it's just something to take note of, because even when you look over here, we broke through it, touched it, and then fell through. Broke through it, touched it, and fell through. So it doesn't have to play out like that, but you can see it does happen where we break through, touch it, and then move up higher. But it goes both ways, just like anything else. So you always have to be open to both scenarios playing out. Otherwise, that's how you get yourself hurt. And here on the RSI, we're going to look on the smaller time frames. We'll start from the daily. Still looking like we're potentially finding a bottom. Like I said in the last video, potential double bottom here starting to form. We're going to find out what happens when we make it to this yellow moving average. Hopefully we can break through there and have a sustainable move up. If not, then we could be looking at a triple bottom, or this can just continue creating fresh lows, which I hope is not the case. On the 4 hour, we are looking good though. Higher highs and higher lows, and we are retesting that yellow moving average, hopefully to push up higher and not break down. But as you can see, you have a nice little trend being formed at the moment. And down to that 1 hour RSI, you can see we got a V-shaped recovery, and now it looks like it's pretty much creating a mini flagpole here. So we'll see if it actually plays out, or if this turns out to continue down further down and turn out to be a large double bottom. And that would, take us from there here and then back to this level around, 38 or so, and potentially back up. But we'll see how that plays out. We'll be keeping an eye out on it. And we're going to do the same thing here on the daily. MACD still in the same position. Momentum's dwindling down slightly. You want to see it completely fall out and get the green flip, like we already spoke about. On the 4 hour, we were starting to look good. I mean, we're still in a good position. It's going sideways after a little move up, but we need to see this green start to push to the upside. And on the 1 hour, we're kind of in between both. We can get the blue flip pretty quick and start to see the green candle start to form. On the bearish side of things, if we were to pull another fib, just here on this move here, we actually pushed up almost to the 0.5 and we got rejected. So that's going to be another level that we're going to have to break through. I guess it's kind of like 2 fibs to the downside. You have the major one here, and then you have this minor one here. So we're going to have to get a durable break above that golden zone so we can start flipping this move back around. But this golden zone has been honestly a pain in the butt, man. It's been tougher than I was anticipating. I knew it was going to be tough to break through, but I had some hope that we were going to get through, because we had 1 weekly close inside, 2 weekly closes inside, and then we had the third one, which I thought, okay, maybe it was just a cool down because we had 5 moves up, and it's a bigger cool down than expected. So with this reset, I think it is going to potentially be a nice move to the upside, but we do have to break through this golden zone. Here on Bitcoin, we spoke about the possibility of a head and shoulders. You have your left shoulder here, head, your other shoulder. Now, what we did not want to see was a close below this level here, which we got. We closed at about 101.5 roughly. Now we have 3 hours to it's not going to be a make or break, but it increases the likelihood depending on what happens here. So I do believe if we hold this level, I would say around, it could be anywhere from 102.8 to about 103, somewhere in that region. If we can hold that, it increases the likelihood that we can hold this level, at least temporarily, and maybe make a move up. Now, if we close underneath it, now it increases our odds of having that head and shoulders actually play out, because if we close here at 101.8 or something like that, now that was your retest, and now we're looking at targets down lower, maybe 97, all the way down to like 94 or 93. Hopefully not. I don't want to scare anybody. Not saying that that's going to happen. I said it just increases the likelihood that it could happen. Even if there's a 10% chance of something happening, it's still 10% chance. It still could happen. So I always want you guys to have, the more than likely scenarios. But like I said, I do think if we can hold this level, it starts to increase our odds of getting a bounce here, holding it, and eventually making our way to the top of this mini range that we've been forming here on this somewhat of a bull flag. Really just a nice upward sloping trend line. But yeah, you can see we've fallen underneath it. And then we're going to have some trouble once we run back up to it. We'll have to break through this upward sloping trend line at some point. And that is going to be confluence, actually. If I continue drawing it out, let's say like that, I'm kind of disregarding these candles out here because I'm getting the most touches as possible. So this makes the most sense to me, discounting these two that fell underneath. So we've fallen underneath, but when we run back up, by the time we get there, we're going to be running into this major level right here of a trend line. And we're going to be running into that upward sloping trend line here on the smaller time frame. So it's going to be confluence to the downside. That's going to be a key level to break. If we do break that level, though, especially with some momentum, I think we can start seeing some crazy moves on Bitcoin. But we'll find out, and we'll get there as time passes. But this is currently what we're looking at, and we also do have on a small time frame as well. We're starting to create a little downward sloping action right there. So we're riding this downward sloping trend line, and we're just compressing, really. You can see you have support underneath you here, you got an upward sloping trend line here, and you have a downward sloping trend line. Price is really just boxed in. So ideally we want to break through this mini downward sloping trend line, let price breathe a little bit, and maybe run up to the top of this channel. But if we don't, it could continue that downward trend, which would play out with the head and shoulders. So it kind of just giving you all the perspectives and what's going on in my head and what I'm seeing all at once. And just like how we spoke about in MSTR, we have global liquidity still ramping upward. So we should be seeing higher prices on Bitcoin. How high is the real question, and when? But hopefully we can see higher prices of 140, 150, something like that. That'd be ideal. Still does not have to play out. Whatever I want it to play out does not mean it's going to play out. I can feel however I want to feel, and nothing has to happen. So a minor similarity that I saw here was this little move right here, breaking above this level of support. It was resistance acting as support, and then breaking up. As you can see, we kind of broke through it there, found support, and then shot off of it. And I'm kind of seeing the same thing after this consolidation. So we ran up, consolidated, fell underneath it, broke back above it, bounced off of it, pushed up. Now I'm kind of seeing the same thing. We ran up, went sideways, fell underneath it, broke back above it, potentially getting a retest, and moving up higher. I feel like that kind of makes sense to see another nice move like that on the total crypto market cap right here. The most ideal scenario, of course, like we've said prior, would be having 17, 21, and 25 at the top of this channel. That would be extremely bullish, and it makes sense on the chart. Does not mean it has to play out, because you need sentiment, you need all the bullish narratives behind you. It has to be a perfect storm for it to play out. We can always run up short. You can also get recessions, black swans. There's so many things that could affect it negatively. So you cannot be sure that it's going to hit a certain level, because nobody knows for sure. Anyways, and the bottom, you have 18, 22, and potentially 26. So we'll see where things take us. But if history continues and it at least rhymes, then we should be going up much higher. Because if you take a look at these two moves here, they were pretty significant in 17 and in 21. So those are very significant moves. And look, this is all we have really in 2025. Just this tiny little move right here, which is not even like 1 month's candle here in 2020, 21, or 2017. So obviously I know that you have regressions and it's not going to go up as much because of how Bitcoin works. But we should be seeing at least something higher than where we're currently at. Tether Dominance, we just spoke about this, and we got a little bit of movement on here. We're going to go over that. We're saying we're running up to a key level of resistance, and it looks like it got rejected pretty hard, which is nice. So that's increasing our odds to the downside. Now we just need to get a close back below this 4.61 so we can get a nice move on Bitcoin. But that was a very bullish candle, and we kind of cleaned that move back to the downside, which is awesome. That's what we wanted to see. That was just a key level here on the smaller time frame. And on the SMAs, we were saying there's going to be a high level of rejection, more than likely, very, very likely, because of the 20 and the 50 week. Those are strong levels right there. And that's part of the reason why Tether Dominance got rejected, and that's why Bitcoin actually ended up pushing back up. Like I said, Tether Dominance tells us that as this is decreasing, stablecoin money is flowing to risk-on assets. So it's going risk off to risk on. And as this is going up, it's going from risk on to risk off. That's why you'll see the inverse correlation between this and Bitcoin. I'll show you guys again for anybody who hasn't seen it. So you can kind of see that happening here. You can see that you have this going downward. And then you can see that you have Bitcoin going upward. Bitcoin dominance just continuously, it just keeps showing you that Bitcoin is the king and it's the place to be. It continues going up, showing that Bitcoin is outperforming altcoins. We're ready for this thing to stop going up. I'm tired of it going up at this point. I need this thing to go down. But if we can get this to drop down and we get that significant move to the downside, that means altcoin season is in full effect, and we are not there yet. But we're far from it. We're at the complete opposite end at this moment. We need to get that severe drop there, and we want to see ETH Bitcoin actually break this upwards or this downward sloping trend line. We want to see a move like this, and that's when we'll also see Bitcoin dominance drop. That's when altcoin season can begin. But right now, Bitcoin's still outperforming ETH. As you can see, it's been demolishing ETH for an extended period right now. Nothing in the crypto space has been better than Bitcoin, honestly. And most assets, honestly. Bitcoin's been better than almost anything that you can think of at this point. Besides MSTR, I would say. So here we have the unemployment rate laid over on Bitcoin. So typically as the unemployment rate goes down, Bitcoin tends to rise. But that's not always the case. That is just historics. Bitcoin rising, unemployment dropping. Unemployment dropping, Bitcoin rising. And you can see the unemployment spike. Of course, Bitcoin dropped and all assets dropped. So right now, we are seeing something a little bit different where unemployment is slowly creeping, but slowly creeping is also Bitcoin. The reason, in my opinion, is because the markets are forward looking and they keep pricing in rate cuts. They keep pricing in more rate cuts and they keep pricing in more rate cuts. And it keeps the market kind of like bullish on its toes, like optimistic, like cautiously optimistic, and it's just slowly creeping. But like I've said prior, you can actually see when we actually got the cuts, sometimes we have some drawdowns. Not every time, but Like here we had a cut and we actually started to increase, but it wasn't as aggressive. You know, this is more of like an emergency cut. So I think whenever you're looking at these rates, unemployment or interest rates, if they're stair stepping, they're not as concerning. Whenever something's moving too fast, that's when the market gets really spooked. So you can see interest rates were increasing, but stair stepping. So Bitcoin was still able to rally in 2017. As you got a slam down on interest rates, so did Bitcoin. Bitcoin slammed down. As you had a skyrocket in interest rates, Bitcoin dropped. And then during the pauses, you can see when everything's kind of status quo, you can see that's when Bitcoin tends to get its rallies. So the same thing here. And remember, the market's forward looking too. So let's see if we continue to get our move to the upside as we continue to stay paused. It looks like we're going to stay paused because the unemployment rate came back flat at 4.2% as expected. And the non-farm payrolls actually came up higher than expected. So it's showing a pretty strong economy at the moment. So it's interesting. We keep thinking that something bad is going to happen. I mean, I'm sure it will eventually, but right now things are holding up pretty well. So I would imagine that Bitcoin is going to continue to make its move up, but it is creeping right now. It's just very slow, and I think it's going to catch us off guard. It's going to be some time when we're not even expecting it. It's going to be like 9 p.m. People are eating dinner, and then you check your phone and this thing's up, 15, 20%, something crazy. But that's just my speculation that it's probably not going to happen exactly how I said, but I just have that feeling. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. I also have super thanks now. I hit the first level of monetization. So if you guys are ever feeling generous and you appreciate whatever I'm doing and you feel like you want to tip, it's not necessary, but if you want to, it's always appreciated. And I appreciate all of you guys watching, all the likes, comments. You guys are amazing. But yeah, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.